I think that Ayn Rand would really proud of us, because she was saying that your mind is something you need to work with, like a muscle, yeah, and you need not to leave it in comfort situation. Always when you leave your mind, just live by yourself, in comfort atmosphere, it stops working, and your critical thinking is not working as well. So today we will talk a little bit about economics. It's good, it's my favorite lecture, about economics from the view of objectivism. What is this, and what is going on, what is doing today with our reality? Why do you need this? Yes, it's a really good question, but for me, 10 years ago, no, in 2013, it's already more, I find out for myself, I opened Ayn Rand, and I opened actually the philosophy where we have rationality, your mind and human as an individual in the center of attention. And if you want to understand the reality today, the politics today, and a lot of economical issues, it's very important for you to understand the difference between objectivism and all other philosophies. It's not ideal philosophy, of course. This is my favorite also slide, because in November, when everybody was talking about elections, it was Republicans made a lot of papers like this, that Democratic Party is socialism, and Republicans and Trump is a freedom. So socialism versus freedom. Today we understand that Trump is not about, he's not libertarian, he's not really completely right ideal person, yeah, because he is doing things that totally not responding to Republican Party, and they have a lot of mess with this now. But it's not ruining our view about Republicans and conservatism as it is, yes, in America. Because many internal policies which Trump is implementing today in America is also very close to objectivism. And about some of these issues, some of these topics, we will talk also in economics and in politics. So, I'm in business already 21 years. I have a few businesses, and in 2023 I also opened factories that produces drinks. So I'm a person like, I think I'm kind of John Gold, who is not stopping, who is acting, and why I decided to get involved in economics, to understand these processes, etc. in Ukraine. Because already in 2013 in Ukraine, I was making business for 10 years. And I had so many problems with government, with licenses, with accountancy, bureaucracy, etc. And I was thinking, why is this? Why, if I want to make money, I make this money, people pay me for my services, why all the time I need to make any, to make our bureaucrats understand and to tell them that I have the right to make business in Ukraine. So when I find out about Ayn Rand, she's talking about rights of person, which you are given from your birth. And one of these rights is making business, because your business is your creativity, something that you produce, something that people need. And in free market, when everybody has a choice to buy your service or not to buy, if they make choice to buy your service or to buy your product, it means that you are a winner. So they need you. And this is a right of a person to be in the market. And very strange why government interfere in the relationship between me as a producer and the customer who wants to buy my services. And today we will try to understand which level of this interference of government should be or should not be between these two people, who buy and who sell. So I was talking about Trump at the beginning because 2 years ago, as a person who knows a little bit about free economy and the economy in Ukraine, I was invited to the group of diplomacy who is working with Republican Party. And today I'm talking a lot about Heritage Foundation, and before this I was already reading their different outlets, etc. And I had already many meetings with them, and it's very interesting, you know, when in Ukraine, when you talk about free economy, about business of the government, business of the state, people don't have another alternative to talk about it. Yes, everybody think in Ukraine that government, state should own enterprises, and as much as it should be. In Heritage Foundation, first thing first what you hear from them when you come from Ukraine as a delegate, as a business person, as an activist, they say, first what you need to do, this is privatization of your state enterprises. And they know the quantity of these enterprises in Ukraine and all the situation about government property. By the way, this is two guys who are now a lot in news when talking about politics of Trump as for Ukraine. Okay, I will try to be not so much, like to say, academic, and but some things we need to talk about. For example, what is economics? If you read different economists like Keynes, etc., they make such difficult notions that economists should know everything, and mathematics and history and here and there and there and there, etc., and make all these crazy mathematician models. But today, Ayn Rand, she's very close to Austrian School of Economics, and we will talk about economics in the view of Austrian school. For example, Ludwig von Mises. And he was talking about economics as that it's about people, yes? Man who is acting, making actions, who is trying to make services and products for the best price and to sell it on the market. So it's so easy, yeah? Just, what is economics? There is a person who produces, there is a person who wants to buy. And it's match or it's not. So, and another notion of what is economics is a student of Institute of Mises. In US there is a Institute of the Ludwig von Mises. And she says, economics is the study of how every individual, every single one of us tries to use the resources available to him to satisfy as best as he can at any moment as many of his various wants, material and non-material, as possible. So when you open business and you are not taking money from government, for example, you act in a very competitive market. And this is free market, actually. Free market, first sign of free market is competitiveness. A lot of different actors on the market. And you don't have any subsidies, so some payments from government, etc. You just need to make your best, to use the best resources you have to produce the best services and products. And when there is competitiveness on the market, when it's free market, the business person takes the risk of his own. So you start business, you believe in this idea, and you can fail or you can win. But all the risks on you, like money, finance, people, your reputation, it's all on you. And that's why Ayn Rand was so crazy about people like John Galt, because it's people who take responsibility, who act in competitive atmosphere, and who has the will to risk everything they have because they believe in the idea. And when we have around us people like this, your life completely different. It's not bureaucrats who only think about how to divide money that they get from taxes, you know. It's very difficult thinking, different thinking of business people. Everything we see here made by business, everything. And if we would have only bureaucrats, all the stuff would not exist. Economics is today this science as much complicated as could be. Why? Because there is competitiveness on the market of economic science. There is people who want to say that the main actor in economics is government, is the state, and other people say that the main actor in economics is the person, individual. So me and us, I hope, are standing on the notion that in economics, the main person, the main actor is the individual who is taking risk, who is acting in competitive atmosphere. And in Objectivism, in Austrian School of Economics, it calls like Praxeology. Did you hear about Praxeology? No, nothing, yes? Oh, it's good. Not good, because you're already upper intermediate. Praxeology, it's about our natural rights. It's about people's actions. So all philosophy can be or theoretical, when you invent models and try to implement in life, or otherwise you you learn how people act, you make some summarize of it, and you make models.
Like behaviorism?
Yes. No, praxeology, it's about human action. Is purposeful behavior. So human action is behavior that has purpose. When we talk about economics, it's economic agent. I will tell you what it means. So economic person, not economic person who is acting with very understood purpose. So praxeology, a lot of praxeology wrote Ludwig von Mises, who is the main scientist for us in Austrian School of Economics, and his book called Human Action. And this fundamental difference between economical schools, because today there are so many economical schools, and you need to understand all of this. Yes, why, how to go, or this school, or this, or this. We will talk about it a little bit. It's very important for you to understand the difference for Ukraine especially, which way we need to choose, for example, what is better for us. Yeah, because many people still think that in Ukraine we don't need to privatize all of businesses of the state, but we need just to change people who will be more effective to work and to manage these businesses of the state, enterprises. But it's not true. Always, any property most effective when there is a person who owns it and who knows that this is his as much as he wants, and if he wants, he will give it to his kids. So he will take care about this property. If it's property that belongs to government, who not us own these enterprises, but the person who manage at this time this enterprise. And usually these people, directors, are in the position like for 2, 3, 5, maybe 10 years, but it's not their property. So it's already understood for many experts, even for World Bank, that business of the state is almost never ruled effectively. So this is two very important notions, Homo economicus and Homo agens. Homo economicus, it's a person who act in economics, who knows all the information, who will do what, when will happen any situation, what other prices will be, how many people will buy your product. And when other economical schools make models for government, for economics of the state, they use the notion of Homo economicus. But this person never exists, because there is no any person who knows all the information on the market. But they still use this model. Homo agens, this is the person who acts. Agen is in Latin acting, act. So it's not agents, it's agens. Homo agens is people who just acting in the environment where there are a lot of unknown things. But he is still acting. And he is acting because he chooses purpose and chooses the most rational way to get to this purpose. For example, when I opened the factory to produce drinks, I took a risk on myself. I took my $1 million. I counted how many years I need to take this money back. In Ukraine, it's 7-10 years. And I took this risk on myself. But I know what to do, how to make it, and I have a purpose. And I'm a person who acts, but I don't know if you understand what it means. So I'm not Homo economicus, I'm Homo agens. I don't know what will be next 10 years. I don't know what will be tomorrow, but I'm still acting. So this is the big difference between Austrian school of economics, who is taken in the middle of science, person who acts in not understood environment. And most of other economical systems, they took in the middle Homo economicus, person who knows everything. And when you understand this, you will get to the fundamental problem of each of the model which is used by our officials when they speak about Ukrainian economy, for example. What is objectivism and why it is not an abstraction? So, objectivism is based on 4 fundamental ideas. First is objective reality, so that reality exists independently of desire, of emotions, and it's the foundation for rational knowledge of the truth. So like it's about your mind, you know, when you use your mind to understand the reality. Rationalism. Humans are capable of discovering truth through reason, which is core principle of objectivism. Reason. So it's also about mind. Because there is no any person or any bureaucrat or any state who knows all the information on the market. That's why rationalism is the way to understand the reality, to use your mind. This is what Ayn Rand was talking about. Individualism. Each individual is the goal, сама по себе. It's a person is the goal of all actions. When we speak about happiness, etc., who is in the center of this happiness? It's a person. And Ayn Rand says that liberty is not the instrument to have a purpose, to achieve any goal. Liberty is the goal, you understand? So liberty, our freedom, what we fight, we always say we fight for freedom. What it means? It's freedom for every person to be creative, to achieve his goals, to achieve his dreams. So liberty, freedom, is not instrument. Freedom is a purpose. So when we speak about economics of objectivism, just put in all the notions, all actions, human being, individual. It's a big difference with everything we hear and read today in news. Most of the governments states, they are not about individualism. They're about collectivism and different forms of it. So, and fourth fundamental idea is capitalism. Capitalism is the only moral system based on voluntary exchange, providing freedom and fostering growth. What is the opposite of capitalism?
Socialism.
Class, super, thank you. So individualism and capitalism, it's together. Capitalism is built on individual goals of the person. And you will see later that there is an index which shows that capitalistic countries are more socially developed and more people get social security than in countries that are socialist countries. But we have this propaganda in mind that socialism is for people, it's social security, it's social support, but it's not true. So from an economic perspective, these four fundamental ideas, what it means? That person has the right to create and keep the fruits of their labor. So everything you do, you produce, you create, it's your property. And you have the right to use it the way you want. And when, for example, we talk about business, I produce cider from apples. So I have big apple garden, 720,000 trees, almost 1 million. It's on my land, grown, and I take these apples. On my factory, I produce drinks, cider, juices, lemonade. But to open this business, somehow I need permission from government. And to get the license to produce these drinks, it took me half a year to go through 17 different commissions, paperworks, bureaucrats who came to watch, do I really have trees? Do I really have a factory? So why do I need this permission? And after this, I've produced the cider. I have to pay a very big amount of taxes, which goes where? To support bureaucrats who will come to me and check, do I have apples, do I have people who work, etc. So we are not talking about it's good or bad, it's just a fact. This is how it works. But we need to open our critical mind how deep government should interfere in the relationship of producer and consumer. Yes?
Yeah, could I have a question? Like you just said about that you have to get the license of, I just have a question of selling your products or just producing or growing the trees and after producing the juice or for selling, for what you
Yeah, it's a good question because now I was talking about only one license to sell cider. All the other license I was not talking about, but also licenses needed there. Your certificates, etc. So it's a lot of bureaucratic steps you need to follow just to become a producer. But you know what is crazy about these licenses? We think that there is a bureaucrat who would come to, like you, for example, you buy my cider. You think, oh, they have license. It means someone from bureaucrats came on they checked them completely. They checked everything. It's very good cider of very good quality. But let's be honest, is this really true? They came once. I produce cider every day, 24 hours. Do you think that if they came once to see if this good cider, nothing will happen tomorrow, really? Just open your mind, just think logically. Why my cider would be good? Why? Because I invested money there and I care about my product. It's only I care about it, not bureaucrats, because I want you to buy cider first time, second time, and all the rest of your life, because it's a very good product. I understand that maybe these things about government and business for some of you are not really opened, you know? You think still that bureaucrats have power and they are much better than us. than you, and they can check business and protect your rights. But is this really true? This lecture today exactly about these questions. This is what I said at the beginning, that Ayn Rand would tell you, open your mind, train your mind, don't leave it in a comfort situation. Ask yourself questions. And you are here, you're asking yourself questions, and it's very good. I really appreciate it. Okay, the notions of Ayn Rand. The right is a moral principle defining and sanctioning a man's freedom of action in a social context. A right is that which can be exercised without anyone's permission. So it means if I want to make business, I don't need a permission, I just go and start it. This is one of my person's rights. But today, not only in Ukraine, but this is total situation in all the world, that bureaucracy taking power too much on all our freedoms. And they say it with good intentions. They protect our rights, they protect our health, and it sounds good, yeah? But if to see, probably our freedom suffers too much. And most of us don't have good salary. When you go from your student's life, you don't know where to go, how to start business, and many problems when you become a human of action. Yeah, you need to act, to make your choices, to take responsibility on yourself. But anywhere you go, you will meet bureaucracy everywhere. And it's a question, just for us to think maybe something needs to be changed. So, Objectivism is philosophy of Ayn Rand, but Austrian School of Economics took the fundamental views of Objectivism and make it go into economics, because Ayn Rand, she was a philosopher, she was not economist, and there is no, like in her writings, a lot about economics. But she made fundamental understanding of people's actions. She made ethical notions, ethical views, which Austrian School of Economics just provided in economics, actually. Because von Mises, Hayek, they were economists, they were not philosophers. And this is how it happened. So, key concepts in Objectivism and the Austrian School of Economics. Now we are talking not only about philosophy, but about economics, how Objectivism see it. First, subjective value. So it means, what is the source of value of product? Do you know, by the way, what is the source of value?
Demand?
Yes, how person wants it or not to buy. For us, now it's more or less understood. But you know that a lot of our economical schools say that, especially in 19th century, the beginning of 20th century, it was notions of Karl Marx. He says that price is how many hours person took it to produce. So it's labor, the source of value. For example, if for iPhone it took to produce it 1 year, so you need to calculate the hours which were taken for this and to make price of iPhone. But for Austrian School of Economics, the subject of value, so it's a demand. For example, maybe it costs now 10,000, yes, iPhone, but I will not buy it. I will buy it for 2,000 maximum. So the price is, most of all, goes from the demand and from value which it takes for you. For example, coffee. I had a coffee today in the morning. I don't want coffee. But if I would not take coffee in the morning, I would pay any amount to buy coffee for myself. So it also depends on the situation. Opportunity cost. When Austrian economists talk about economics, they say that you cannot calculate which way person will go, because always there is opportunity cost, alternative costs. So you made a choice. Today, after Russian massive attack, you could stay at home and sleep. Or maybe read a book. You would invest in your mental health. But you took yourself, and you said, I go to learn something about economics. It's also good. It's more difficult than read a book, but I will come today here. So it's opportunity, alternative cost. You invested your time here, but you could do it anywhere. To drink beer with friends, to drink my cider, for example. It's good, by the way. You can drink it since morning. Principles of limited information. Austrian School of Economics says there is no government, no country, no Donald Trump who knows everything about everything. Because why we talk about free market? Free market is where there are rules and we cannot calculate which person what would do. Also, I'm talking about cider today a lot because it's very simple example. I invested in 2023 money in cider. But someone tell me already a few times, why you didn't invest in drones? It's a good question. To be honest, I want to invest in drones, but I don't know how, because it's not rational for me. I don't have any expertise, I don't have any understanding of the market. I will take my money and just money will go nowhere, yeah, because I could make many mistakes. But I invested in cider because I know the market, I know how to do it, it's easy for me, and I have many marketing ideas how to implement it, how to make a team, etc. And I will make more money and I will donate to drones, for example. But this is about principles of limited information. So government, for example, would say, no, drones, now it's the best way to invest. So all money should go to drones. All other markets make their big taxes, make their licenses, make these businesses limited because we need more drones. But I cannot invest in drones because I don't know any information about it. Look at me, I'm very far from drones. But I can make other stuff. So you understand that no government can tell you what to do. And rationally, you will put your actions in the things you understand, first of all. The other very important subject of Austrian School of Economics is property rights and voluntary exchange. That state should be a night watchman, not a center that centralize everything and give permission for everybody to act only how they see this strategy. So government making rules and controlling the relationship between people, for example. And very important question is human behavior. Because in economics, main actor is a person, individual. And this is individualism in action. So when we talk about reforms or changes in the government, we always need to think about the person and family. Is this reform or this new law would change life of our families, Ukrainian individuals for better or not? And when the government would ask this question, many reforms would be more close to life, for us. So, and very important that freedom is not a tool for growth, freedom is a goal. So it's not instrument. Freedom is not instrument. When we talk about Ayn Rand, her goal is freedom. Okay. Capitalism. Very important definition of capitalism. Who thinks that Ukraine is a capitalistic country? Raise your hand. Why you don't think that we are a capitalistic country? We are socialists or what? How? What do you think? Exactly. But there are a lot of definitions where we will understand the capitalistic country or socialistic. So, capitalism. Capitalism is a system of voluntary, decentralized economic decision-making by consumers, investors, and entrepreneurs within their private property to achieve subject goals in a system of open competition and international division of labor. So, Austrian School of Economics talk about division of labor is about tariffs in the world. When you learn news about Trump, China, America tariffs, so it's a lot about division of labor. But here I want to emphasize on private property. So capitalism is fundamental fundamental condition for capitalism is private property. And in Ukraine, we have a very bad situation with protecting private property. Because our justice system is not working, and this is most important why private property is not protected. What Ayn Rand was thinking about capitalism. By capitalism, Rand understands full, pure, uncontrolled, unregulated, laissez-faire capitalism with a separation of state and economics. So in the same way as charge separated from the state. So economics also should be separated from the state. In Ukraine and in many countries today, also in America, in European Union and all other countries, today state is making business. Government always has its own enterprises. And it's a conflict of interests when a government there is on the market as producer, as customer, as someone who make regulations, make laws, taking taxes. So it's like a closed system. Okay, I will not talk about this today, but it's good, this one. For example, there is index which shows that in capitalist countries, for example, income in mostly economically free countries much more bigger than in least economically free. This is why it shows that capitalism is always better. And for example, murders, вбивства. In least economically free, we have more murders than in most economically free countries. And to understand that capitalism is much better than socialism, remember the story when Soviet Union collapsed. How all the countries wanted to have their economy. They wanted to make it centralized, planned, socialistic. No, they wanted to go to Western world and to ask for help. We need to provide free economy, capitalism in our countries. So it's one of the biggest historical examples that just shows that people live much better in capitalist countries than in socialist countries. Okay, I would like to stay today on this. We don't have so much time yet. There is a story about a turning point in history. What happened in 18th century, actually? We see this line. It shows that during all our history, 2000 years, economics was not growing at all. And in 1820, economics started to grow suddenly. And it was size of economics in prices of 2021 was $1.63 trillion, all the world. In 2023, it was already $166.65 trillion. So during only 200 years, it grew up 100 times. What happened? Why? We all think that maybe here was freedom, was no government, was no bureaucrats, yeah? Or maybe here was capitalism or what? Why? Looks like probably something changed here. So many economists and historians of economics ask themselves what happened. And Ayn Rand, also this also great chart that shows from the first year, yes, how economics would grow. For example, United States, okay, they just started here, let's be honest, but they grow 200 years during like this. Germany, for example, yeah, also biggest growth was in this period. So what happened there?
May I ask?
Yeah.
Answer. I mean,
yeah.
Perhaps it is the increasing of production. So people started to produce more products.
Yeah, it's промислова революція.
Промышленная революция.
Yeah, but when we are individualists, we cannot say just промислова революція. But who made it?
Science.
Ayn Rand say that entrepreneurs as a person, as a вид, боже, я забуваю слова.
Type.
Is a type of individual happened. It's entrepreneur. And business people started to change this world. And in 19th century, this world was quite free. And why? Давай.
А чому ми говоримо про те, що тільки з початком промислової революції? Чому ми не враховуємо античні часи? Там же ж, в принципі, ми теж можемо говорити про певний рівень економіки.
Так, було. Бачите, ось тут. Так, ми англійською говоримо. So, actually, here really was some development. But look at the world. We are talking about Western world, Western values today. So really, China was very big country at that time. India, because it was like a center of population. Most of people was there. But we are trying to talk about how world changed since 19th century. And we are not talking about small economy of China or India. We took numbers. I showed you in the beginning that yes, it was economical growth and everything, but what is important, always numbers. We check the number of economy in 1920, it was like this, 1.6 trillion. It was, of course, it was available, people was acting. But in 200 years, total world economy, not just China or just India, became 100 times bigger, suddenly. 2,000 years, it was acting, producing, and people was maybe even smarter than us now. But economics changed 100 times during 200 years. Why? So Ayn Rand says that it's economic agents, people who act, entrepreneurs, changed the world. And they invented technologies. Not just technologies came from nowhere. And on this point, we come to the very interesting topic. I think that last 5-10 minutes we will talk about these 5 models, 5 basic models of economic growth. Today, we have different economical schools, learnings, strategies, but there is this basic 5. What are they about? Listen. So, first one, this pre-industrial economic growth. This is this period when almost nothing happened. Why almost nothing happened? It was not growing. Because there were no rules, there were no world economy like this. You know that in most of the countries there were some routes where entrepreneurs would go with their stuff to sell somewhere, and always they would be пограбовані, robbed, and something would happen with them. So no rules, no technologies, just trade the way it could be. Of course, if you know history a little bit, you could say, but there were Genoa, Venice, very capitalistic cities, and they were very rich in Italy. Really, it really happened. But this is the moment when I say that some inceptions, yes, що виняток підтверджує правило. Ну, тобто, загалом все було, не розвивалося. But Venice, Genoa, it was very capitalistic countries sometime. And what is funny, when you go to Florence, all the richness of the Florence that you see, it was made in the period of the most free period in economics of Venice, 14th, 15th century. After this, nothing was made new, you know? But this was capitalism, real capitalism. So this pre-industrial model is slavery, no private property, etc. Feudalism, so it's completely different system from what we are talking about now. We are talking about people's dignity, freedom, people actions, and that everybody has the right to be happy and to produce, to create. So pre-industrial model. In this model, nothing happened, but nothing happened about very big growth. But this model really existed. It's not a theoretical model. It existed. Second model, Marxist socialist model. It was invented in 19th century. And when we see this chart and we understand that in 19th century everything started to grow, but Marxism, socialism in that time was theory. It didn't exist in practice. You understand what I mean? It started to exist only after 1920. And they started to develop it in Soviet Union and in some other countries. So socialism and Marxism, what happened here? But this model, Marxist socialist model, is not real. Is a theory model that Marx invented. He was lying on his bed, and some black angel would come at night and give him these ideas on his ear, and he was writing it fast. You know the story, I hope. Почитайте. Що важливо? What is important? That Marxism, socialism is not a practical model. It was invented on the ideas of value. 5 хвилин? 10? Добре. So that value, source of value is labor. Marx was writing about labor, poor people who work, other people who have these factories, they exploitators, and this model is not really true. So when Lenin and some other his comrades came to power, they took this model and started to implement it in practice artificially. There is another model, Mises Schumpeter model of entrepreneurial growth. This is our Austrian School of Economics. They didn't invent model. They just took a history of economics and started to understand why economic grows. And they made a conclusion, they came to conclusion that entrepreneurs, this is people, human agents, who make economics grow. Because they act, they take risk, they create competitive markets, and it starts to grow. And if we would talk about history of different countries, Poland, Singapore, Taiwan, did they took model of Marxism, socialism, or maybe these other two models which I will explain you, and this is how they made their economical miracles? No, they all these economical miracles happened because it was free market, was made conditions for business to grow in the country. And first of all, small and medium business, most freedom for this business, and big business. Also freedom, conditions, and equal conditions for everybody. So this is how economical miracles happened. And all these miracles happened by the model, Mises Schumpeter model of entrepreneurial growth. Модель підприємницького зростання. I would like to pay your attention to these two models. This is unbelievably interesting situation. First is the Solow-Swan model of exogenous growth, and second, Romer model of endogenous growth. Did you hear this before? So, before these two models, Mises and pre-industrial, this is models that was learning how people act, putting it into conclusions, and Austrian School of Economics say this is how economics would grow if you give freedom to business. Marx said no, economical growth would go if we protect rights of proletariat. No, we know that it didn't work. Yeah, I'm sure you heard that it didn't work. But these two guys, Solow-Swan and Romer, three guys, they was born. Their ideas was born after Second World War, because at that time, government and state was becoming stronger and stronger, and they would like to control everything, more control, because the world was after Second World War, very exhausted, and really many economics ruined. But anyway, it's these models of economical growth, artificial. They started to think how to make economic grow. Let's invent something new. And here is a chart that shows comparison of exogenous growth and endogenous growth. Solow-Swan. First, exogenous. They talk about external growth, and they say that somehow in economics would come technologies, new technologies, and all businesses would use the same technology to make their business effective. So government should make this technology, take it from somewhere, and give it to everybody, and everybody would grow on the same technology. Also, it comes from outside. People should save money, and this money that people save would make economic grow. I give it you very simple way. But on these two models, now all economical models are made, like промислова політика, може чули в Україні, це найулюбленіше. Оце все йде звідси. Потім, policy impact on growth. They say that politicians should not influence so much, but people should accumulate capital, should save money more and more. What is the problem with this model, exogenous growth model? They do not explain how technologies come to action, come to the state, who make technologies, how they invented. They also do not explain if technologies come and every business takes the same technology, where is competition? How business today compete? They compete because they invent technologies. And they have R&D departments, and due to these technologies, some businesses better than others. We have like Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Each of them had their own technology to grow. If all of them would have the same technology, would they grow? Where is competitiveness? Business do not grow if they do not compete. You got it? And endogenous growth model, Romer, model of Romer. They say that all economics should be closed, and they should internally, inside itself, develop human capital and develop innovations, R&D. So government should take care about this. Government should invest money in people, in human capital, in innovations, in R&D, and so all businesses would take these innovations, take this human capital, and also grow. Тобто розвиток економіки при моделі endogenous growth created with economic insight. So if here all the technologies come somehow from outside, here government interfere and government creates technology. So the problem is should be investment in human capital in innovations. And this model says that government should do this. But again, how government should know which human capital business need, for example, or which technology business need? Why government would take all the money from taxes and invest in some human capital, education, social security, some innovations? Just bureaucrats would decide what is needed in the future. But it's not working. In reality, this is not working like this. Only entrepreneurs, people who act, they know which technology would they need. They invent technology. Because we have Academy of Science in Ukraine. This is actually the place where all technologies should grow. Do we know at least one drone that was made by our Academy of Science? But do you know the budget of Academy of Science, which they have from government, from taxes that we pay? Huge. Huge. They have also a lot of land, thousands of hectares of land in their property, etc. So it's to end about economics, I would like you to remember these 5 basic models of economic growth. And every time you will hear about, in some conferences, experts would say, we need human capital. We need to invest money in human capital, in innovations. Технопарки, обов'язково. Government should invest in технопарки. But when bureaucrats decide this, it's always not effective. Because only human individuals should do this. Because they know their purposes. Government doesn't know the purposes of all humans in Ukraine who wants to make what kind of business.